Hello everyone, back to you in today's second video, doing GWV Sunday Round-Up for today's second video. So it's on a Sunday, but your eclectic mix of this and that. Going to look at things like sea survey, temperature anomalies, solar activity, QBO, AO, NAO, and the weather the next week, 10 days and beyond. And I shall get on it for you very shortly, just to say that the first video released today was the first summer update. So summer updates have commenced at GWV. It's another season of long-range updates have begun. And yeah, we're looking at winter to summer data for that one. So check out our first summer 2021 update. If you'd like to do that, we're going to be back at 6 o'clock with our Sunday evening live stream. So it's going to be great. You know, we'll check in, see how we're all doing, and we'll show you some summer data with that as well. So I shall see you live at 6. Definitely please subscribe if you have not yet done so. Give us a sub. Click like as well on videos. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. Click the bell as well. You'll be notified by YouTube when we release our content. Right, let's do this then. So we're going to start off with the QBO, quasi-biennial oscillation. This is the QBO index page from NOAA, going all the way back to 1948. The QBO, of course, is just an index that's reflecting atmospheric data. This is telling us like how strong the zona westerlies are. When you're in a westerly QBO, the zona westerlies will be strengthened. When you're in an easterly QBO, the zona westerlies will be weakened. It's primarily a winter driver, but we do look at it all year round. Right, so come down to 2020, 2021. So here we go then. We can see that in 2020 we started the year with a developing easterly QBO, but easterly QBO failed through the summer and reversed into a westerly phase of the quasi-biennial oscillation. Into the beginning of 2021, we continue with that westerly QBO phase. So in January 2021, the QBO number came out at plus 10.19. However, for February, got February's number in now, a bit of a weaker westerly QBO number at plus 8.92. So it looks like the westerly QBO might be starting to weaken now as we're going into the spring. Will we see a reversal into the easterly phase of the quasi-biennial oscillation as we go through the spring and on into the summer? We'll wait and see about that, but definitely a reduction in the strength of westerly QBO anyway, you know, from in the winter. So in November we was at plus 11.15, then in December plus 10.37, January plus 10.19, and then clearly a weakening of westerly QBO in February at plus 8.92. Still in westerly phase of the QBO, but a definite weakening from like January to February. This is how the QBO is currently looking. This is from NASA, of course. So the westerly QBO is where we've got this sandy coloured area just here within the troposphere. Of course, got the stratosphere up here, so it's like 10 HPA up there at the top of the atmosphere. This is 30 to 50 HPA. That's kind of like the troposphere where weather is taking place. So within the troposphere, we have got westerly QBO, and in the stratosphere, we've got an easterly QBO. It's been lurking up there pretty consistently since last year, not able to move down into the troposphere. We did think last year that the ECQBO was going to sort of penetrate down from the strat to the trop, but it did not. It wasn't able to, and it got pushed back into stratosphere again. So where we are right now is with a westerly QBO continuing in the troposphere, but an ECQBO is up in the stratosphere. It does look, if you zoom in, see it's a little bit better. It does look as though the easterly QBO is sort of strengthening, I think, within the stratosphere level. So you can see a few months ago, the ECQBO looks quite weak up in the stratosphere. The colours are definitely getting more intense, aren't they? Within the stratosphere, the blues and greens are getting darker, which I think is indicating that the ECQBO is strengthening in the stratosphere, not yet moving down into the troposphere. But we'll wait and see. You know, we may well see this ECQBO beginning to push down from the stratosphere to the troposphere as we get through into you know, into the summer and beyond. We'll wait and see what happens. We'll keep you updated, of course, with what's going on with the QBO in the coming days. and weeks a month. Right, solar activity next. This episode is looking on outside today from solarham.net. I've got a couple of sunspot regions. Solar activity, though, is at low levels and expected to remain so for the next 3 days. If you have a look at the solar activity tracker sent through by our good friend James Ackroyd, thank you so much, James, for sending this through, we can see from the orange line, which is depicting each individual day's worth of solar activity, but we are seeing a little bit of an increase in activity. It is enough to begin to lift up the trend line slightly, thick green and thick red lines. They're lifting up ever so slightly, but this is still a low level of solar activity. But last time we had quite a highish level of solar activity was there, which was back in November. So since then, we've been trending with relatively weak solar activity readings. Some days still getting not getting any sunspots at all. As I say, a few sunspots have appeared over the past week or two. We are at a slightly higher level of solar activity, but generally still pretty weak, really. Considering where we are in the solar cycle, which is now into the second year of solar cycle number 25. Thank you so much, James, for sending through the gas of his solar activity tracker. Right, let's have a look at this, see who I am today. So here we go. It's sent through by Rich. It's Gab Travolta today, I think. Got chills, they're multiplying. Wow. Thank you, Rich, for sending that one through on Travolta today. I don't think so, but thank you, Rich. Anyway, right, so this is showing me spot this days and current spot this stretch. So, for the current spot stretch, 0 days, because we have had sunspots, or we had sunspots yesterday. So that's at 0. For 2021, so far, I've had 32 days without sunspots. That is 48% of the year. So that's quite a high level, like for the second year of the solar cycle. That's quite a high percentage. But remember, we're only still a couple of months into the year. 2020 came out with 208 days without sunspots. That's 57% of the year. And our solar minimum year, of course, was 2019, which had 281 days without sunspots. That's 77% of the year. You can see this is all pretty comparable with 2008, 2009, now 2010, which again had a very, very weak start to solar cycle 24. So solar cycle 25, you know, is having a weak start as the previous solar cycle did. Thank you to James and to Richard for sending through the data. Sea surface temperature anomalies next. I said we'd have a look at the IOD, didn't I, last week? I haven't got time, unfortunately, to have a look at the IOD this week, but we will have a look at the IOD next week, I promise you that. But just have a very quick skip through the, got the shopping being delivered soon, so I'm going to get this wrapped up as quickly as I can before we have Ocado on the door, so I'm going to try and rattle through as quickly as I can. So we'll definitely have a look at the IOD next week. But this is how things were looking last week. We did last week's Sunday Round-Up with our 3 areas of interest, the ENSO region just here, the North Pacific over there, and then the North Atlantic over there. That's how things looked last week. This is how things look this week. So dealing with the ENSO region, first of all, I think we have had a slight weakening of the La Nina signature over the past week. The blue colours are not quite as intense. It's still there, of course. Still La Nina still goes on, but I don't think the blues are quite as intense. So not quite as cold for sea surface temperature anomalies this week. Central and western base as well, with the La Nina in the eastern part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. It is a little bit milder through there. Up into the northern and northeastern Pacific, it's a bit colder on average around here. That's really unchanged, I think, from last week. So pretty chilly in the northeast part of the Pacific. And then into North Atlantic. Again, that's how North Atlantic looked last week. This is how things are looking this week. Very little change over there. Most parts of the North Atlantic remain warmer than average. So the Atlantic is in quite a warm state, the Northeast and Pacific in quite a cool state, and La Nina goes on, but has weakened slightly over the past week in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. SOI looks like this. Again, this is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. This time it's measuring air pressures between Darwin and Tahiti. So when the SOI is in its positive phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Nina. When the SOI is in its negative phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. let's scroll down and have a look then. So we've got negativity of the SOI going on at the moment. That's why I suspect why the La Nina signal weakened over the past week. So we are overall in a La Nina state, but the SOI is beginning to move into more of an El Nino type setup, into negativity. So the atmosphere is moving into more of an El Nino type setup, which is why the SOI is beginning to trend negative. So the 24th of February, have the SOI going down to minus 3.46. 25th February, have the SOI going down to minus 14.79. 26th February, have the SOI going down to minus 9.56. Slightly positive there on the 27th of February, and 28th goes down to minus 5. 1st of March goes down to minus 8. 2nd of March goes down to minus 6. 3rd of March goes down to minus 6 again. 4th of March goes down to minus 8. 5th of March goes down to minus 6. 6th of March goes down to minus 2. And 7th of March goes down to minus 3. And this is enough to start moving the SOI 30-day average quite substantially, actually. So a little while ago, the SOI 30-day average in last week of February was up here to around plus 15. Now it is at around plus 7. So that's quite a significant move of the SOI. Of course, it's a 30-day average, so it does move quite a lot, but that is quite significant development as we've gone into March. The 90-day average, which is the yellow dashed line, that is beginning to trend down a little bit as well. That one moves far less because it's a 90-day rather than a 30-day average. So it looks like we're probably drawing to an end now on this La Nina, I think. We'll find out next week if this negativity of the SY goes on. But if it carries on much longer, and it is typical, I suppose, for this point of the year when we're coming out of the La Nina, that this would happen. So we're probably going to see an end of La Nina, go back to ENSO neutral, and then we'll wait and see where things go into the summer, I would have thought. I thought we'd just have a quick look at this. So this is how Eurasian snow cover is currently looking. The snow line has now pushed back into the far eastern part of Europe. Most of Europe now is snow-free, except over mountainous areas. There's still plenty of snow, of course, over the Alps and whatnot. But many parts of Europe now are snow-free. The snow line sort of slipped back into the far east of Europe. All of Russia, of course, is still snow-covered, or nearly all of Russia is still snow-covered. Over the coming weeks and next few months, we're going to see the whole of this area, is going to thaw out, except over mountainous areas, and will become snow-free by the time we get through to June and to July. In terms of Arctic sea ice, that's how things are looking almost at maximum now, I think, for the refreeze for Arctic sea ice. And, of course, then we will move into the melt season, and we'll see how much ice we lose in this particular melt season. Arctic oscillation observed and forecast next. So, of course, this is coming from NOAA as well. I zoomed in a little bit too much there. Sorry about that. There we go. So, black line shows where I've been with the AO. The red lines at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. So, again, just an index that's reflecting that set date. This time looking at the Arctic as opposed to like the Southern Ocean with the SY, for example. So, with this, when the AO is in its negative phase, you're going to have blocking over the Arctic, have high pressure over the Arctic. High pressure blocking is the route to push cold air out of the Arctic and down into the mid-latitudes. When the AO is positive, though, you have low pressure up over the Arctic. Through most of the winter, the AO was negative. We had a negative AO through most of this winter, which tells us we had a lot of blocking through winter as well. Where we are right now is around neutral with the Arctic oscillation. Going to go very positive with the AO, though, in the coming week or so. GFS assaults are really going to town with ramping up that Arctic oscillation into a very, very, very positive level, and generally staying positive with the AO through into the second half of March with the GFS ensembles as well. So clearly we have replaced blocking with much lower pressures over the Arctic safe, have reverted into much more of an Atlantic-driven zonal westerly type pattern. NAO observed and forecast, same idea. So black line shows I've been with the NAO, red lines of M with GFS ensembles forecasting the NAO to go. Again, remember, it's just an index that's reflecting that today's date, this time measuring air pressures between Iceland and the Azores. So for most of the winter, the NAO was actually in a negative, neutral to weakly negative phase. That's what we said was likely to happen when we did our NAO forecast back last year. And by the way, I'll be releasing the verification the winter 2020-21 forecast tomorrow. It's going to be released, I'll probably release around 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Have a look at it, see how we did with our winter forecast. I don't think we did too badly, but reserve judgment. Have a look at our verification tomorrow. But anyway, through most of the winter, the NEO was in a neutral to weakly negative state. Did go a little bit positive there as we came into the second half of February, associated with a milder end to February. Where we are right now with the NEO is around neutral, really. But GFS ensembles are forecasting that the NEO will stay weekly positive, I should say, or become weekly positive over the next couple of weeks. So both the indexes, the AO, the NEO, are going to be in positive territory. It's a signal for westerlies. Not necessarily guaranteed to be mild, though, with westerlies when you get into the spring. Although, you know, there will be mild weather, of course, with warm sectors. But when you get into spring, and it's increasingly so, as you go through the spring and into the summer, actually westerlies are one of the cooler wind direction, as opposed to in winter, where westerly would tend to be like a milder wind direction most of the time, and easterlies are a colder direction. But in summer, it changes, it reverses. Westerly becomes a cooler wind direction, and easterlies become a hotter wind direction. Anyway, let's have a look at GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. Let's go to weeks. Do some forecasts. We're going to look at Buxton today. So red line is a 30 upper air temperature average for Buxton. We're starting off a bit cold and average at the moment, been pretty chilly over past few days. Going to stay quite chilly for the next couple of days as well. Then we're going to push up in the upper air temperatures for the middle part of next week, but it's associated with a big area of low pressure. It's going to bring a lot of stormy weather with it around the middle of the week. Gale force winds possible for England and Wales in particular. Then we go cooler again later next week into next weekend. Becoming quite cold. Then into the second half of March, this period just here, we're seeing the GFS upper air temperatures lifting up generally. Ensembles are lifting up, although there are some cold ensemble members down here. You'll remember yesterday the GFS 6Z, same happened on the 12Z and the 18Z. Yesterday, GFS went for Greenland blocking on the operational runs, but never all that well supported by the ensembles. And it does look as though generally the GFS ensembles are trending into a milder direction as we go into the second half of March, but with the possibility that something colder could occur. Precipitation-wise, a lot of dry weather over the next few days, but we are going to be in for plenty of rain around the middle of the week as it turns wet and windy. And then unsettled after that, showery and, you know, wintry showers possible at the end of next week into next weekend. After that, bit of a drying trend into the second half of March, perhaps, as it's turning milder. Temperature anomalies from the 7th to the 15th of March. Going to be slightly colder than average. Most parts of Europe looking pretty chilly as well. Precipitation, so that just backs up the idea that just because you've got a positive AO-NEO combination in March, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's going to be mild, and that will be increasingly so as we go through the spring and into the summer. Precipitation anomalies from the 7th to the 15th of March are generally on the wetter than average side in most areas. Latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows that we're still under high pressure, so winds remain light, but westerlies are waiting in the Atlantic. We are going to see the Atlantic ramping up over the next few days. So this is how the GFS, this is how the UK Met, I should say, UK Met midnight run is looking for Wednesday. Wet and windy, deep area of low pressure west of Scotland, another one developing in the Atlantic. That one sweeps in Wednesday into Thursday, potentially brings severe gales to southern and western parts of the country during Wednesday night. Cold and showery into the end of next week, winds in from west-northwesterly direction. As we get to Saturday, 13th March, another low pressure's rolling in. That's going to bring more wet and windy weather, and on the northern side of that low, the area is quite cold, so there could be some snow for the northern parts of the country on the northern side of that low pressure. GFS midnight run looks like this again, deep area of low pressure at northwest of Scotland on Wednesday. Another one waiting in the Atlantic along the jet stream. That one rattles through as we go from Wednesday to Thursday, potentially bringing severe gales to southern and western parts of the country. Then we're into a cool and showery west-northwesterly flow through the weekend with more low pressure rattling in. So plenty of rain to come. Moving up towards day 10, a bit of a change. High pressure and starts to ridge up from the southwest. This also high makes a move. That should turn us drier and potentially a little bit more spring-like. Into extended range, GFS midnight run keeps that high pressure hanging around, and we eventually draw up some mild air from the south, then the high pressure repositions just to our west. It looks a lot more settled with a GFS midnight run, I have to say, into the third week of March. We finish up looking like we're going to return back to more sort of a westerly flow. That, of course, is, what date is that? Let's have a look. So that is going to be for the 23rd of March. As far as we get to with the GFS today. This is how the GFS 6Z is looking. So let's just have a look at that in comparison. Been updating as we've been speaking. So again, wet and windy here through the middle part of the week. Could be some severe gale force winds around southern western coast on Wednesday night to Thursday morning, moving to a cool, showery, westerly type flow. Heading up towards day 10, more low pressure drives in, and then high pressure begins to ridge up from the south. That's up to day 10. This ridge building up from the south should turn us drier and more spring-like. Let's go into the extended range. High pressure then moves up towards Scandinavia. Have a go at pulling in some easterly winds, not particularly cold easterly winds, but let's see what becomes of that. So we just go anticyclonic really, and we're drawing the wind in from like a southeasterly type direction, which actually could be quite pleasant. I expect nights would be cold, but that could be quite pleasant by day if it's sunny. Cold northerly winds plunging down the eastern side of Europe, bringing some quite cold air, or cold northerly winds plunging down the eastern side of Europe, bringing something colder to them. But for us, we're close to this ridge, so it's not too bad at all. That could well be a taste of spring, I think, occurring on both the midnight and 6Z GFS runs for the third week of March. Right, let's move on from GFS to GM. Again, looking quite stormy for GM on Wednesday. Plenty of wet and windy weather rattling through. Could be severe gales around southern and western coast areas. Cool and showery at the end of the week and into the weekend as well. And then heading up towards day 10, again, the high pressure begins to ridge out to our west, and it turns drier. And should be quite pleasant there by day 10 with the GM, I would have thought. And then the ECM looks like this again. Wet and windy around the middle part of the week. Could be quite stormy even. And then into the weekend, again, cool and showery, really. Could be cold enough for snow. In the north in particular, and then heading up towards day 10, the ECM is actually a bit colder than Mars has winds in from the north at day 10, but does look as though this ridge is going to start building in from the west. That's probably progressing towards something drier and more spring-like for the third week of March, but for a while we do draw down some cold northerly winds with the ECMWF today. This is the precipitation type forecast based on that ECM run from TibetShow.com. So, rain coming next week and going to. Could be cold enough at times for snow over high ground. It will also be quite stormy, especially so in the south around the middle part of next week, Wednesday into Thursday. Then we're going to like cool, showery conditions, showers wintry in the north and in the west and in the northwest too. Into next weekend, further rain at times with pretty strong winds. Again, cold enough for hill snow up in the north too. Another low pressure rattling through there. That's the 14th March week today, actually. This time next week, another low pressure on a more southerly track could bring a little bit of snow through Wales and the Midlands, potentially. And then moving up towards day 10, we just generally keep it quite cool, really, with further wintry showers in the north. That's how we'll just get to day 10. By then, heights are rising out to our west, so the shower risk is easing down. Right, so ECM ensembles, we're getting means from, not from the Icelandic Met Office now, getting means from ECMWF themselves, ECMWF.int. These yachts are on the table for day 10, so we've got 20, which gets us to the 17th of March. So we've got 20 members of the ECM ensembles showing high pressure just to our west and to our southwest as well. Low pressure is to our east, and winds are coming in from like a cool or quite cold northwesterly to possibly even northerly direction. 19 members of the ECM ensembles are much more anticyclonic, just here with high pressure centered right over top of the country. By the way, this is showing a sort of a wide northern hemisphere view from like America over here to Europe over there. So we're not just restricted to like Iceland and just our quadrant of the North Atlantic now with these. So these options, 19 high pressure almost centered over top of the country. That should be mostly dry and anticyclonic. And then we have 12 members of the ECM ensembles that are very unsettled with heights slipping southwards around Spain and low pressure is in the Atlantic and still driving in from the west. That's a minority option. It looks like most of the ECM ensemble members are building up higher pressure as we go towards day 10, but could be a bit on the cold side. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This is going to get us to the 22nd of March. Got quite a few to get through with these. So, 16 members of the ECM ensembles will have low pressure over and just to the west of the country, and so that's going to be the most unsettled option, of course, probably. Although I have not gone through all of the other options yet, have we? We have 11, which have high pressure sitting over and just to the east of the country. That's anticyclonic. Kind of similar to what the GFS 6 that is showing, I suppose. Mainly anticyclonic, should be dry and probably quite pleasant and relatively spring-like, but might be a little bit cold by night. 9, just here, again, with high pressure sat over the country, but this time slightly more to our northwest. Again, that's going to be mainly anticyclonic scenario, but could be bringing in something a little bit chilly from like a northwesterly direction. But generally, I think most options are going towards higher pressure. We've got 8 just here that have much more in way of lower pressure, though. Not as unsettled as the first option, but nevertheless, that one is a little bit more unsettled and probably quite chilly. And then finally, we have 7, which have high pressure to our north and to our northwest. This is probably the coldest option. I would have thought it's going to be bringing in winds from a northeasterly direction, potentially. That's probably the coldest option. I think the ECM ensembles are shifting towards higher pressure, though, into the 3rd week of March. So we've had high pressure through this week. We're going to have a much more unsettled spell through the 2nd week of March. And then the 3rd week of March looks like we're trending back towards higher pressure again. So quite a changeable March, isn't it? So there's V2 lastly, and then we're done. So these are 500 millibar height spring tech. Let me know what you think about those cluster ensemble charts from ecmwf.int, by the way, in the comments. I'll have a look and see what you think about them later. Right, this is how the CFS is looking lastly. So these are 500 millibar height spring down to week periods. First week period takes from the 7th to the 13th of March. Coming week is showing low pressure heading in off the Atlantic, becoming more unsettled in the week ahead with bouts of rain, and will be quite stormy around the middle part of the week. Also quite unsettling to week 2. It's the 14th to 20th of March. Low pressure to our north, high pressure is to the south, winds in from a westerly direction. That one is also going to be an unsettled week if CFS is right. But week 3 shows a change. This is 21st, 27th of March. High pressure builds in from southwest. Low pressure jet stream pushes north. Was going to be a lot of dry and fine weather with that, probably quite spring-like. And it goes on into week 4 as well. It's the 28th of March to the 3rd of April. High pressure again continuing to rule the roost. So we've got a nice end to March, beginning to April period, if this is right, and spring is about to spring, probably. Finally, CFS-V2 for April looks like this with 700 millibar height anomaly. Excuse me, very settled, high pressure dominating from the Azores into the UK and on into Northern Europe. That would be classic summer chart. If it was summer, it's only April, but nevertheless, it probably brings quite a lot of dry and relatively warm weather, you would have thought, for April. So a little bit of a high-pressure fest, if CFS is right for April. Temperature anomalies don't look that exciting, only slightly above average, but I would have thought a warmer month is likely than that, probably. So what's happened there? So that's not right, is it? So let's just go back. Sorry about that, everybody. Got the wrong chart up. So we'll go back to this one. Precipitation. There we go. And no particular signal. Forget that happened, everyone. No particular signal for precipitation. But of course, with such a high pressure fest, you'd expect a very, very strongly anticyclonic sort of month, really, and dry and warm April, if CFS is right with that. Right, if you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tell your friends, family, everybody else to subscribe. Thanks so much, everybody, for doing that. And yeah, drop a comment, let us know what you think. That's it then, the Sunday Roundup for this week. We'll be back later on at 6 o'clock with our live. I'm going to show you some summer data. In fact, I think I'll have a look at CAN 6 and the CFS V2. And yeah, a bit of a longer range look ahead in our live stream from 6. So I'll see you then. You enjoy the rest of Sunday afternoon for the Sunday Roundup this week. That's all for now. And thanks for watching.